Hello and welcome to Season 11, Episode 3 of the EUphoria podcast. I'm Drakos, joined by my cohort, Caedrel, as well as...
what?
Cohort.
Okay.
Cohort. Do you say... What do you think I said?
Let's not...
Co-lady of the night? Is that what you thought?
Is hort a word?
It is a word.
Okay.
Like many English speakers, I just throw out words that I'm not entirely 100% sure of the definition, but I think I can put there and it makes sense.
Okay.
I think I saw it in World of Warcraft.
There you go.
World of Warcraft, the word
That's
cohort?
a real word.
Yeah, they were like
now I
Black
believe you.
Temple, I think.
I believe him
In the
more.
rail.
That's a good source. That's a good source. Screw the Oxford English Dictionary.
Spoilers if you're in podcast land, potentially. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, saying blah, 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 blah.
Did you say spoilers for Black Temple?
No, spoilers for Jankos this year.
Oh.
You know, because Jankos spoke
because I didn't
before,
say
before I introduced Jankos.
Oh.
That's it. Welcome, Jankos.
Hey.
How's life, brother?
Life is good. I had some, a pretty nice rest day after a pretty nice LEC week 1 and excited for week 2.
Heck yeah. Mark was watching you play Champions Queue last night. I've heard it's been abandoned by our brothers overseas.
Yeah, they've just disabled it, actually.
Oh, wow. Just
Wait,
completely.
they disabled it?
Yeah, they disabled it.
Like, when did
in
that
Champions
happen?
Queue a couple days ago.
Whoa.
They disabled it because there wasn't enough players.
Writing on the wall then. But I hope that ours is... How was Champions Queue? Was it a higher experience than solo queue? Was it sick? Were you like, damn, it's almost like playing on stage. It's so serious and professional.
It's the smile.
I mean, I think I had better experience with it during Worlds because there were like way more skilled players.
Mm-hmm.
And currently, I feel like the problem is... So I have like my personal couple of changes I would change about Champions Queue. So first of all, I would grant priority queue to all the LEC players so that we can have as many games as possible with our players. With our players, I mean the best players. And then, other roles would fill. So it would create imbalance in some matchups technically, right? But still, right now, I feel like there is so many games going on, which is great. But, it's also starting. So day one, many games.
Yeah.
But I feel like games are quite unbalanced, right? So I play against players I am not super familiar with. And I don't feel like they are that good. And the games are quite one-sided and snowbally just because it's with comms. So when everyone's talking to each other, it's way easier to snowball the game and win easy.
Yeah, I saw that because when I looked at your stream, I was watching one of your games, and I looked at other streams. I looked at like Bo, Jack Spectral was streaming. I think Chocolate was streaming. A couple of ERL players. Everyone was in a different game. There was no game where there was like 2 or 3 LEC players in it together. I was like hoping that I could see you versus Bo or see you versus someone in the LEC, but there was literally just 9 ERL players, right? And then 1 LEC player in it. So priority queue makes sense. Are you fine with the start times? I think a lot of people wanted it earlier.
No. I mean, I agree with you or with a lot of people, I suppose. I think 10 p.m. is just way too late because currently... I mean, there's some players that play until 2 a.m. I don't think it's that common though. And I also feel like if you have very heated games, it's hard to fall asleep after. So if you play all that late until 2 a.m., I think it's too much.
What time do you finish scrims?
We finish scrims at 8 p.m. currently. Okay. It's like a new system this year where we play 3 games. I mean, we can get into details a bit later maybe, but it's basically 3 games, 1 hour break, 3 games. So we finish 8 p.m., we eat dinner. So it makes sense to start Champions Queue in my opinion at 9 p.m. for LEC at least. And then if it ends at 1 a.m., I think it's fine. I also doubt many people will play until like the very, very 1 a.m. Yeah. But I think the 3 hours between 9 to 12 would be busy. And it's also like, you can choose solo queue or that, right? But currently you play a bit of solo queue, then you play Champions Queue. But I just don't see people staying up until 2 a.m. to play Champions Queue.
Yeah, personally, I like an earlier schedule. And I know that obviously the LEC starts later in the day, so that there are people who are going to be on a sleep schedule where they're going to sleep at 2 a.m., but in my experience as well. And I know there's plenty of pros who can probably just pass out immediately after a game of League of Legends, but for me, it's like I'm amped after a game of League. I need like an extra hour after that just to like calm down, read a book, let the adrenaline out of my system. If I lost, remember that I don't hate myself.
I also
like the little things.
I also think, I don't know if I should say this here, but I also think the LEC should start an hour earlier. I think it starts at like 6. I think 5 p.m. start would be nice. Then you don't have to get
very based
towards midnight as well. I don't know. I think the esports scene like in the last 10 years has been like really like up till 4 a.m. Grinding. But I think as nutrition and like teams have grown, people are like early sleep's better because I remember reading somewhere that 1 hour sleep before midnight is worth 2 hours sleep after midnight. So you just feel way more refreshed during the day. Yeah. And then people like to do gym a lot more, early morning gym, early morning exercise, whatever it may be.
Other alternative theory as to why we feel this way. We're all way older now. I didn't say it. Yeah, well, I'm with you, but I'm looking at our cast. I'm like, You're certainly not a Zoomer. You're not really a Zoomer.
Yeah, we're getting older.
That's like a very nice way to say it. I'm not a Zoomer.
Yeah. We don't have like one of the 17-year-old or 18-year-old players on the podcast. You know what
that's
I mean,
true.
Right now. So
it's the age. I think
we might
you're
have
right.
a limited perspective, but I mean, I'm inclined to agree. But as far as the start time, I'm just not even going to go there because that's above my pay grade.
Yeah,
Mr.
same here.
not gonna start that conversation here.
Wait, can I complain? I can
You
be
can
doing
complain. You
because
can
I still
complain
play,
as much
right?
as
So
you
I'm
want.
like,
Yeah, you do whatever you
make
want.
LEC 1 hour before, please.
Then it starts
Okay,
at,
that's my
wow.
play out. That's my play out.
That was a good one.
I mean, I just think that the reason why it would start later, on Fridays at least, is because people had to get off work, right?
Yep.
But we literally have LEC on like Saturday, Sunday now.
Saturday,
So
Sunday.
there's like no reason to start at 6 p.m., I think. And even if we start at 6 p.m., like we used to start at 5 p.m. for the weekend and 6 p.m. for Fridays, but now it's like always 6.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know we have some delays that will be resolved in the future, but yeah, I would really prefer to start a bit earlier.
Yeah, definitely a lot of delays in this previous week. And obviously technical issues always happen, but that makes that start time definitely feel worse when you're there I mean, we were all there.
And I think I have like one more
hours.
argument, which
sure.
it may not
Hit it.
stand correct in like 2 weeks, but if we have BO3s and BO5s, are they going to start at 6 p.m. or 5 p.m.? Because from my experience, normally when we have BO5s, they start even earlier.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make any sense for BO1s only to be at 6 and then like BO5s and BO3s to be at 5.
Because BO5s can go to 5 games, which is the same as the 5 BO1s. And BO3s can go to 6 games, which is longer.
I will say that we're kind of like, without
yeah.
anyone here present from the team that actually makes those decisions, it's like, I can't really give you guys a meaningful response.
And we are just complaining.
Sometimes
it's like really fun to
We
complain.
don't get to vent our
I don't
frustrations
actually
often.
know. Because I can be like, wow, that's a great idea. And then someone can come in and be like, actually, here's all the reasons we start at 6. And I'll be like, never mind. It's a bad idea. But I don't know, right? So I'm like, okay, sure, guys, great.
Need that other piece of perspective.
True.
Here's why. I'm like, okay.
But all that people need to know now is that we're healthy. We want to wake up earlier.
We're going to go gym.
We want to go
Run
gym.
the
We want to
grind
play
set,
earlier.
and then you skip the reality. It's like laying in food, the alarm's going off, you're scrolling through reels or something. Like, do I really want to get out of bed?
No, dude, we
get out of bed.
Yeah, wait, you're like super healthy now these days, Jankos, aren't you? Aren't you like consistent gym goer? Aren't you? I don't know.
Okay, so it happened.
I mean, you were telling us a story before you got on air about spilling like protein powder on a microphone. So I was like, oh, he's a healthy guy. I mean, if he's got protein powder, he must be healthy.
So I've been like going gym quite a lot last year, but then I went to America for Worlds.
Oh,
Actually,
you don't need to say anything else, brother. I know.
I went to America to Worlds and it started going downhill. And then I went to Korea for like a boot camp kind of vacation type. And then I kept eating that fried chicken. It all started with that fried chicken. And then, right now we also changed the practice schedule in LEC, and we play, instead of playing 5 games straight from 2 p.m., so 2 p.m. to 7 p.m., now we start at 1 p.m., we play 3 games, then we have 1 hour break, then we play another 3 games. So we start 1 hour earlier, but we end 1 hour later. And that also means we don't start at 1. We have a meeting before. Every team has a meeting about drafts, about potential picks.
Yep.
And we also have 1 day of practice less because of LEC lasting 3 days instead of 2 days.
Yep.
So overall, we have so much less time so that I feel like it's kind of hard to go gym right now in the morning because I have to wake up at like 9:30 to have like 1 hour gym and then shower, go to the office so that we have meeting and food at 11:30. But that also means when if I want to go to sleep later because of Champions Queue or solo queue, then it makes it a bit awkward currently for me.
I feel that. I mean, I think that our schedule is definitely less strict than your schedule, but I think we're also all adjusting. I think everyone behind the scenes in LEC is adjusting right now. Like switching to 3 days a week is really wild. And then obviously if you're also changing your scrim format as well, I can get that. I believe maybe in like a month, it would be easier for you to find that stability. But when you're like in this schedule in the first week, there's just, I can't imagine adding anything else on top.
What do you value more, actually? So, because I guess you have Tuesdays off, I presume.
Yeah.
So if you have Tuesday off, you have 3 scrim days.
Yeah.
And then 3 game days. Do you prefer 3 game days, 3 scrim days, or 2 game days, 4 scrim days? Do you think the extra game days better
definitely
practice?
Prefer 4 scrim days. I think it's kind of bad, actually, the system right now in LEC.
Really?
I mean, if I'm really honest, I think 3 days of playing is... No, I love playing more games. That's great. But playing 1 more day is a bit pointless because LEC day is quite of a... So you can still play practice that day, but you don't go hard practice. So you kind of play like 2-3 games of, comms and not really reviews because you don't want to stress yourself out too much. So we still practice during LEC days, but that is also because we lost the day. And I feel like 3 days of LEC means travel time, means studio time. So in a day, you probably have like 4 hours here, just, waiting for your game, then playing your game, then, coming back after your game. It still takes a time to come to the studio from Berlin, right? It's like 20-minute drive. So I feel like it would be really great to have like 2 BO1s in a day. But I can also see that disadvantage, like competitive disadvantage, because you need to prepare for 2 teams in one day. So I'm not sure what is like the best system, but I do feel like 3 days of playing is just a bit awkward, especially if it's BO1s and not BO3s.
Yeah, it does feel like I just wish there was more time in the year so we could play out 2 game days before we go into best of 3. Because I think once you get into best of 3, you solve that problem because you're not playing every LEC day, right?
Yeah,
I don't know exactly
like
what the schedule. Yeah, you like play 2 out of 3. You play a best of 3 when you go instead of playing a best of 1.
Yeah, so it's like so much nicer.
Yeah, I think. And so, I mean, the good news is there's 3 weeks of this, which is, I think, super chaotic for everybody, from the broadcast and for us, where it's like, we're seeing all of you every single day.
Yeah, 15 games.
It's a super week every week. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's played like a third of your regular season already.
I mean, and the good news is you go into best 3 and then you go into best of 5, and I feel like that's immediately much better.
Yeah, that's good news to go into BO3.
Yeah.
For the teams that go in there.
Wait, where are you guys in the standings now?
They're tied.
I mean, that's matter, right? We just have 1 win. That's what matters. 1 win. It's like
you're tied 5th, 5-way tie for 5th.
Yeah. So how's the mood in the team? You guys feeling good? How's everything going? Because you were like good first week when you came on, but it was a bit of a mixed bag of a first week.
No, I mean, I think we won a game, but we wanted to win at least 2 games, right? So Vitality is like a team that we wanted to beat initially.
Yeah.
But I mean, okay, so we wanted to go 3-0. Why we wanted to go 3-0 is because, well, first of all, we want to win every game. But next week we face Koi, G2, and Fnatic. So we have like a little bit tougher second week. Yeah. And we kind of wanted to like snowball our mental into like very good condition, winning 3 games first, and then having like a very strong mental for the next week. Currently though, instead of having a good mental, we still have like a decent mental, but we know we have like so many things to improve on, so many things to work on. But looking at teams like Koi and G2, they have way better fundamentals than we do. And they also play, stronger on stage, right? Individually. So definitely looking forward to facing, my old team, also Koi and Fnatic. I think all of them are going to be super fun to play against. And I do think that we can win, reviewing our games. I mean, it's a bit of a copium, of course, but it is possible. Yeah. That being said, we didn't start the way we wanted, right? We wanted to win at least against SK Gaming, to start with 2 wins. And then kind of our goal in Winter Split would be to make BO3s and then improve from BO3s, BO1s, and then in Spring Split we would like to be competitive enough to fight for like top places. Yeah. That's kind of how I see it. Especially that when we started scrimming in December, we were like so bad, like so boosted, like I couldn't watch. I mean, like I was watching our games in scrims and
just close your eyes.
I couldn't, bro. I couldn't bear it. Like I couldn't bear it. I was like trying to help the team with the coaching staff and trying to improve. And I actually feel like
phase. Huh? With the games lost in lane phase?
I mean, many games are still lost in lane phase, but also they can be lost in the early. I mean, overall, I think many of our games are lost in early game, and that is not just laning phase. That is also like jungle, right? So we are trying to work on that currently, and I think if we become a very strong early game team, then it's way easier to get a lead and then try to close the game out than to, let's say, play on even terms against teams like G2, right? Because, again, they have better fundamentals, so if you start from behind, it's harder to come back. But if you start from ahead, there is a good chance you can close the game. So our goal is to, be a very strong early game team, even if we don't always draft for early game. And then after that, when we improve our early game to a level where we can compete with the best teams, we kind of, care more about mid-late game. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to the weekend, and I think the mood, the question was about the mood. I think the mood is good. We watched some series yesterday, The Last of Us, that was a banger. We play board games to choose who washes the dishes, because we don't have a dishwasher. So
there's no dishwasher?
There's no dishwasher, yeah. So it's basically like, I'm taking out the trash every day, actually. I don't want to be that guy. If anyone from my team is listening, please start taking out the trash, because I'm the only one who is doing like chores outside of...
So you've got dedicated trash duty?
No, I don't. I don't have a dedicated one. I'm just a nice guy.
Oh, I see.
I'm the dad. And Evie calls me like, thank you, dad. Oh, and I'm like, but that's a good excuse to make me do it. That's not how it's going to be.
I feel like you're both dads in that house. Shouldn't you alternate between the trash taking out?
Yeah, I try to ask them. So today, for example, when I was coming here for you guys to Euphoria, I left the trash in front of the door.
You're like, kids.
So I didn't take it
I'll
out.
be home from scrim. I'll be home for scrim soon. Take out the trash while I'm gone.
I kind of left it in front of the door so that so we have to go obviously every day, which means every day we have to go downstairs anyway. So it's not difficult to take it. Yeah, surely someone will take it. If they don't take it, I'll make them take it when I come back.
Yeah,
I see.
You might need to do you might need to keep gamifying the system or something. It sounds like, you play a game to do dishes. Maybe whoever ints the most in scrims has to like take the trash down or something.
But the walk of shame.
Yeah,
walk of shame. But that's like, I don't like it because you pinpoint someone who is inting. I don't want I don't want to be like excluding people like, hey, you played bad, you have to take out the trash.
It's like the Game of Thrones shame.
It's just funny because the gaming house makes me laugh because you've got like you and Evie, right, who I think are probably in like very different stages of your life than the other people on your team.
I mean,
you guys could probably
like very ahead of me as well in a way. I mean, personal life at least. So it's he has a wife, for example, which is really cool. I think.
Yeah.
Perix as well. Upset. Doinby, I think many players are actually trying to balance the pro playing life and the actual life. So I think it's very interesting.
It's a tricky thing, but I think it's interesting that you're back in like the gaming house environment again, and you could probably you have very different expectations of your roommates probably than they do of themselves. Because like my experience watching these gaming houses, I love it when there's like a player who's like, mid-20s, and then the player who's like 18, and the player who's like 18 is like living in a pile of food delivery bags, and the other guy is just like, please, for the love of God, just one time, can you pick your shit up? That's like always my favorite team house dynamic.
Wait, so you live in a team house, right?
Yeah, we live in a team house, but it's not everyone. Mersa lives separately, and me, Jack, Samux, which is positional coach, Ruby and Evie live together, but none of them are that young. I mean, of course, they're younger than me, right? But I don't know how old is Ruby and Jack actually, but I think they're like between 22 and 24. So it's not like they're that young. You know?
That's good.
I feel like everyone is quite experienced, so I don't have to like nag at them every day, but I kind of expect them to do a little bit more. But at the same time, it's not that important. And, in the end, it's all about the play. And if I have to take out the trash and we win LEC, that's fine. I will do it.
It's all about the play. And then if you guys go like 3-0 this week, then you can bring it back to the trash. Be like, hey, we went 3-0. We smashed all these teams.
I mean, if we go
and you still can't take the dash out. Are you kidding me?
Shame.
Wow, great hands this week. Use them to take the trash out. Really loved how you made that play happen. Now make a play to get the trash into the room.
When we had like this board game night where we basically played who is gonna wash the dishes, and Jack's girlfriend was visiting, and she was the one losing.
No, oh my God, she's a guest. You degenerate.
She guests have to be excluded.
You can't. That's no. Did he not take it on the chin? Did he not go up there and do the dishes?
No. So what happened is that she lost, and then so I didn't want to say it. Yeah. Because everyone said, okay, who loses?
Looking at each other like.
Yeah, everyone's looking at each other, and then Evie said, oh, it's Jack and his girlfriend. So Evie was like,
good job, Evie.
And Jack of course helped her. So it was not
good.
But
okay.
at first, no one was just,
Can you imagine how absolutely ruthless you would have to be? You invite your girlfriend to stay. She comes. You're gonna have a great time. Oh, you lost the game. Sorry, babe. Do the dishes while I go play solo queue with the boy. That's messed up.
Bro, it was kind of like...
Your relationship is not what
just start doing not just girlfriend, just guests, just inviting friends over and making
do you guys want to come over, perhaps? Do you guys want to play some board games?
Just walk inside, there's trash outside the doors and all the dishes are there. Oh,
I would love it.
It's like you walk in, there's a dark room, no light. Sit down. Sit down. Play a board game.
There's like 10 people and all of them are supposed, they're all part of heretics and there's just you. It's like 10v1 just to watch.
No, we're playing a game of raise your hand if your name is Daniel Drakos. Oh, you lost! Wow, time to do the dishes. That's the new.
We're playing the sheep game.
Context here is there's a game that you play sometimes with
It's
extra
really funny.
beverages where apparently it's Australian. We learned it from our producer Phil, where you have to not show your teeth, and then you can either say sheep
or ba.
And if you say sheep, it gets passed around one way, or you can say ba to pass it back. And if you show your teeth or laugh at all, you lose.
You have to,
Yeah, and when you've perhaps had one or two beverages, it becomes excessively difficult to say sheep or ba.
It's
interesting.
It gets messy.
I never played that game.
It sounds very simple, but it makes you laugh so much.
I kind of want to play that game.
We're not playing it now.
Okay, does the loser have to do the dishes?
We'll come over and we can play it for dishes. Although you laugh so much, I feel like you're going to be the guy doing the dishes.
Yeah, 100%.
Bring it back into League, though. It seems like you're like starting like a whole new project this year. And I like the mentality that you guys are coming in with, that it's like, obviously you want to win as much as possible, but first setting your sights on top 8 and getting into best of 3s and then focusing more on spring. I like that you have that perspective on a long-term project. How does it feel like knowing that like the real goal is spring to play week to week? Are you just laser focused on like big picture improvement, or are you trying more to focus on like your opponent coming up next week, prep for specifically Koi or specifically one opponent? Or are you just mostly looking at yourselves and saying, hey, like, what can we do better, and thinking long term?
I think it's mostly thinking long term. I think we are currently trying to focus on ourselves. It's quite pointless to me to focus on individual opponents because it's a BO1, it's not a BO3, it's not a BO5 even. So I think that currently we are doing some mistakes, and decision making in our games, both in scrims and on stage, is slow. There is a lot of process of thinking, and there's still like a little bit of a language barrier existing in our team. So we really have to like think too much in games sometimes, which also hinders our ability to make decisions and make fast decisions. So I think right now, we want to focus on being better at the game, overall macro, micro. Our laning phase, our early game, like I mentioned, of course, our mid-late game is also something we are working on, but mostly focused on the early game and, what champions to play. Also, I think the luxury of being good, something I didn't remember.
Didn't take because, for granted?
Yeah, something I took for granted in G2 is the luxury of being good is that you can play a lot of things and you can get away with it.
Yeah.
But right now, our practice is very limited to few champions that we have to play, and we have to play at a high level. Yep. So I can't really like play multiple champions as I did in G2, which is like, I mean, it's a double-edged sword in a way, playing multiple champions, because you don't always play them on stage and maybe you waste practice in a way. So playing 1 or 2 comps can be better. But at the same time, it's way more fun to, just like play multiple champions and win every scrim.
Weird things.
It's like last year, definitely different times, We were winning every single scrim, playing different shit and just stomping everyone, except for maybe MSI and Worlds. These are a bit tougher.
It's fine.
It sounds great. I never know, but it sounds great.
Yeah, definitely a different time now. But yeah, focusing on ourselves, I think, we want to be realistic again. We play G2 Koi Fnatic. I think it's kind of pointless to prepare against teams like G2 because, they showcase how strong they can be, and, we showcase how difficult it can be for us to win games. So, yeah, I think in a matter of few weeks, I think Heretics will be like a team that will be strong. But to be like top 5 or top 4 to basically fight for Worlds by the end of the year, that's the goal, right? To make it to Worlds by the end of the year, we have to be top 4. And I think to be top 4, it's very important that we work hard, but we need to work hard and smart. And we need to work fast because there's no time. And I would say many teams started way higher, way above us, way better than us. So if everyone keeps improving at a steady rate, we are just not going to make Worlds. That's not possible. So we need to work faster. We need to work in a way where we can be better at working, so to speak, so that we can beat them by the end of the year, so that we can claim top 4. Otherwise, if we keep our level like steadily increasing, but every other team is also being a bit better, then we might just never catch up to them because they keep, pulling ahead, right? So, like I said, I think currently I'm somewhat satisfied with not satisfied, but I see the progress we made over the month, and I think it's great. We are so much better, but we are still shitty. We still need to be much better.
So it's not a matter of just continuing. You have to go faster.
Yeah, we just have to go faster because there's no time, there is time to lose spring in a way. There's time to lose winter, but there's just no time. Like, we need to make the championship split. We need to make Worlds. Yep. We want to make, top 2. We want to make it to Messiah in spring if possible, but it's not realistic if we are losing to SK Gaming, So definitely BO1 is different than BO3, BO5. In a BO1, you do have some lag, but I feel like the decisions we are making in games and the mistakes that how we lost our games is not even the Astralis game, right? Like, it was not that one-sided. So I feel like these type of things, they don't come, you play a BO5 and suddenly you are a better team. This is not how it works, right? So
are those decisions just slow because of the language barrier in terms of lack of understanding what you actually mean? Or is it just people have different ideas and they try to discuss it, and so it takes long to actually make the decision?
I think there's still some individual ideas in the team that are like wrong. And because it's wrong because the views of the game are different, but it's mostly about making the same decision. It's also that not everyone is like I mean, I don't want to get too much into details because I don't want to. But anyway, I think that all of us just have to be more on the same page. And besides that, all of us need to improve our like macro knowledge, how to move around the map, and when to show, when not to show, how to stay out of vision, when not to stay out of vision, how to play team fights, what champions. I mean, there's like
that meme where it's like, Heretics is good, but they have to work on their laning phase, their early game, their macro
individual performances, the communication.
It sounds like overall you need to level everything up.
Their ability to take out the trash, like it's just like the list just like keeps the dishes.
Everything has to be better. But I think there's hope. There's a lot of potential. We could see Evie smurfing on stage on Cassandra. We could see Ruby having a great game with Cassiopeia. Jang and Mersa, I think both of them are very great, have so much potential. And, I can see them being like one of the best bot laners in Europe very soon. So many things to work on. Maybe some copium in my words, but, it is what it is, right? You want to win. Well, I'll do everything in my power to win.
And you got to believe it. And I would hate to hear you come in here after 1 week. And one of like
and be like one of Twitch chat, which is like
Twitch chat,
can win. You guys suck. Your bot lane's the worst. I hate this.
Yeah, it's the classic.
And don't get me wrong, like it was a rough week for your bot lane. They did not have the biggest all-star performances, but credit to Jack, who's obviously very young for our league, even if he's a name that's been around for a while in terms of people anticipating him coming in. He came out. He said, "This is not the level I want to play at." He tweeted very publicly. He acknowledged it. So it's not really a lot else to be said there.
But to be honest with you, I kind of feel it's like. It's really great of him to acknowledge it and say it out publicly, but I also feel like it's a public pressure to do so.
Sure.
I don't know if he did it himself or not. I really hope he, wanted to get it out of his system because he decided to. But I feel like because people say so much shit online, you kind of want to be like, oh yeah, I actually played bad. But I don't actually think Jack played that bad. I think, sure, there's some decisions that could have been better. But like, mechanically and stuff, he played fine. It's just that public opinion of him is, oh, botlane is trash. So now botlane has to put more pressure on themselves and they have to stress themselves out. And something that, I spoke about to them and to the team that like, there's no stress, like whatever people say doesn't matter. Like I've been shit talked so many years.
Yeah.
So many different
you've learned
people.
to just blank it out.
So it's just doesn't matter, you have your opinion of yourself, and honestly being egoistic is important. Like you just have to believe you are good. And of course you shouldn't be like too high on copium that I'm the best when I'm shit. But you also don't want to have like too low opinion of yourself because that will hinder your performance.
Yeah, and also like obviously for orgs and for the business side of esports, it's important to have people be really active on social media. It's important for fandom and for community, but like if you go on social media and you cannot handle that pressure or that negative feedback, just get off. Like I would rather see Jack Spectra never tweet and never interact on social media if it meant that he was like a more happy, more fulfilled human being and could just focus on his performance.
That is true, yeah.
Than see him come out and tweet. Like, don't get me wrong. I love Carzy tweets. They're blatantly inappropriate and kind of weird, but like if you told me that he was mentally going to be happier and was like would perform better and be able to practice
if he
better,
makes those tweets,
instead of making those
if he makes those tweets and they make him happy, I'm happy for him.
Exactly. You should
and it's the opposite for Jack or for anyone else. If you feel like social media is overwhelming for you, might as well just not use it.
Just check out, because the sad truth is there are people out there who genuinely want to give you that love and give you that support, and there are people who tear you down, and some people are going to be able to process those things and take the good and ignore the bad, or take what's actually meaningful there. And some people, I struggle with this. Like when it's negative, the negative shit sticks with me for way longer. Yeah. It sticks with me for like a month.
Yeah.
Like I'm still thinking about a random comment someone made about like my pants a month ago. It's in my head.
Really?
So I just don't.
What did they say?
I don't even remember specifically. I just made that one up. But like, there's a lot that I can't say that are more inappropriate than that.
It feels like 10 to 20 compliments is one thing of like people saying you're great, and then one person's like you're shit.
And some people.
It's like,
don't struggle with that. Some people don't have, whatever you want to call that. Some people can do it, some people can't. And so I just hope the people who can't can be honest with themselves, because I think it's sometimes you're like, I'm a guy, nothing phases me, I'm always all right. But then secretly you're like, oh God, they all, like don't pretend, just get off social media.
Yeah, didn't you have like a little bit of a detox of social media as well?
I'm trying to be less, away from it.
Yeah.
I think it's
less away from it. You mean like you are
trying to be away from it? I'm trying to be very diligent when I do it, because I don't want to ignore the community and the people who want to engage with me, but I'm trying to set very specific like times and windows when I'm active on social media.
Oh wow.
So it's like, it's not a check my phone every 10-15 minutes kind of thing. It's not addictive.
I think, to be honest, I mean, if pro players, I'm not saying Jack does struggle, but as the example, if you do struggle ever with social media, I don't think it hurts to give your account to your manager or something and say, hey, can you just tweet me like once or twice a week about our game?
Yeah.
I'm just going to uninstall Twitter and uninstall Instagram or whatever. But then the other side is like your longevity of career as an influencer or as a social media presence and being public facing then disappears because you lack personality, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So it's just
and this
balances everything.
This is a privilege that I get to say this because I'm so established in the LEC and I'm also a full-time employee, so that like I can take a step away from Twitter and I don't feel like I'm giving up anything in my career, whereas like a brand new caster or a brand new pro player who really wants to cement themselves maybe feels like they don't have that luxury.
Yeah, for sure.
But this is a bit of a segue. I didn't want to talk too much about this. I do want to talk about the other teams in the league in this hot mess that is.
Should we bring up the tier list that we made as well?
Yeah, we can.
Just to reflect on it a bit, see what Jankos thinks.
So this is our tier list.
Okay, B. Okay, not
to
bad.
recap the standings.
Okay, we are on the same level as okay.
Okay, hold on. So we might have been a little bit wrong here, but
yeah,
just to say the actual standing. There's a tier list now behind us if you're on YouTube. Otherwise,
Wait, Dagda just copied me. What the hell?
Yeah, Dagda has exactly. That's crazy. How did he do that? He didn't see your tier list, though, for the record.
Oh, okay.
Well, but it was on your YouTube channel, so he might have seen your tier list, but I don't think he did.
Gotta get that clickbait.
Maybe he like watched it, but then he didn't know why he makes those decisions. But we actually manipulate. Yeah,
manipulate subconscious.
So
Inception style.
Just to recap the actual standings after week 1. G2 Esports Vitality 3-0, Koi Mad Lions 2-1, Excel Fnatic SK BDS Heretics 1 and 2. Goddamn. Astralis 0-3. So,
Poor Astralis.
Sorry, Astralis. We all put you in D tier.
I think we all hit Astralis correctly.
You're 0-3.
Take that.
But to be fair to Astralis, there were some redeeming moments. They had some pretty close games, or closer games in the early game. It fell apart mid-game, late game. They had some lackluster.
Bro, I had Fiora on my red buff level 1.
That was sick. That was a good game from them.
I would
that Fiora red buff level 1.
Do you know where he got that from? Well, I guess he maybe thought himself, but the day before, Bro was playing and Morgan did the exact same thing, but he did it way worse.
I didn't goddamn watch it.
He did it way worse. He walked in, pushed him out, got his flash, and then stood in the brush, lost the first 2 creeps, and then went back in and did it to his Grump as well.
Oh, so he really played with him.
Was really.
But I think it's maybe. Yeah, I mean, for me, he did it only for red, and I also lost my flash, and that was not pleasant, but I kind of messed up a ward as well, because I actually used my ward on the ramp, thinking they could invade level 1, but I didn't think about Fiora queuing over the wall. But it's like, in a way, it's lazy to ward the ramp, but not the brush, because it's the same type of vision,
it is.
But it protects you against Fiora dash. And it's something I didn't think about, and then when I saw the Fiora, I was like,
It's one of those things where it's like you now are conscious of it, so you'll probably do that again, but eventually you'll slowly forget, and then it'll happen again in like a year's time. You're like, oh god damn it, I should have warded exactly in that spot again.
I mean, something that like you can bring up when the game starts. Like everyone can say it and everyone can be aware of it, and then some person will ward it, right? But it was. I mean, if this would happen to me in solo queue, I would probably be like. But on stage, I was like. I'm okay.
It's fine.
Guys, it's okay.
It's fine. Having a great time here in the jungle, no flash. I'm so far
Guys, I was half HP. I didn't have my red bomb playing Vi.
So I do want to give credit to Astralis that like that first game.
Also Kobe.
And as well to Kabe. Kabe had a really great game on Xayah. He looked super aggressive, which is something we've criticized in the past, that he's just very passive player. Or not passive, but like he's Mr. Reliable. He's not Mr. Carry. He really tried to be Mr. Carry a few times this weekend. And that first game that they played against you guys, that early game, it felt like they had a clear plan, they executed. So that was at least a positive sign for Astralis. Ultimately not enough to take them out of D tier. Ultimately not enough to get them a win. But I don't want to just throw Astralis completely under the bus. There were some good things to look at this past weekend, and hopefully it will get better for them. But shifting our attention to Heretics, we put you in B tier. All of us put you in B tier next to the Mad Lions, in my case next to Fnatic and XL. Caedrel put you next to just the Mad Lions.
I'm surprised by the Mad Lions. Oh, Jesus.
The Mad Lions, better than we thought.
Yeah.
Everyone else, for the most part, kind of worse than we thought.
Yeah, to be honest, if I had to change anything, I'd put Mad Lions in A, drop XL and Fnatic to like B tier, maybe C, and then drop Koi out of S.
Where would you put Heretics? Are Heretics a B tier team or a C tier team right now?
Yeah, I'd keep them above SK. I'd leave them. Even though you lost, I would say that, as a team, I think I have more faith in them.
I mean, I have faith in ours, but if I had to rank it after like week 1, I would for sure put us C tier.
I agree, Mark. But I think you're coping out.
No. I mean, I think I would put us C tier, but I would say we have the potential to be like A tier. But for now, I don't think we showed it. I mean, I think we had like some decent. I don't think our games were like against Toms, Like we had decent games. Like we had competitive games against everyone, but again, we played against Astralis, SK, and Vitality.
I think if you told me in the long run that your team had a higher ceiling than SK, I would believe that. Not knowing how much you're both progressing.
I would hope so,
Yeah, I would hope that you would hope so too. Pedigree alone there.
Yeah, because otherwise you're just putting a tier list for like week 1 performances, right? You want to put a tier list for what
which is essentially the standings,
exactly,
right?
right.
You know? And this was kind of our preseason prediction of where people would come in. But I think in the long run, I have faith in your team to grow. But I would say
we'll see. I'm kind of excited to play Excel as well because of Targa, right? Targa, I have so many ex-teammates now. I have like Targamas, I have Wunder, coming up. Yeah. Fnatic,
Caps,
I have
Reckless.
G2, the whole team. Yeah, Reckless. Like, it's going to be a banger.
Is there any team that surprised you in a good or a bad way?
I would say that G2 surprised me in like a very positive way because so I expected them to be the best with this roster. Like, I think they have the best like laners in Europe since a while. And for a mile as well.
Like,
but I didn't expect them to like dominate so hard. But I think their idea of playing the game is very good. They are very, very aggressive. They are like very like early snowball team kind of, and they are even not drafting meta junglers. They are actually like shining away from it, and they are drafting like in more aggressive way. Like things like Graves, Kindred, and Viego. So I think that this team has a lot of potential, and I actually like this style because what we in the past with G2 struggled with when we went to international stage, we played like the meta in Europe, and then the meta at Worlds would be a bit different, and then we had to adapt, right? But I feel like the meta that they are playing now is something that if you get good at this, it's easier to get good at like playing, let's say, Sejuani and farming and like scaling than it is to be very good aggressive team that can use priority to invade and to snowball games. So I think that what they are practicing or playing now is actually good long term, and if meta is slightly different at the Messiah or Worlds, they can adapt. So I definitely look forward to like their journey over the year. But I don't really care that much about them either because it's not my team anymore. I'm mostly focused on making Heretics better. But I mean, I do think that they positively surprised me.
I agree. I didn't rate G2 as highly. We had a lot of people immediately putting them in S tier because I think that we needed to see, like, I know how good Mickey can be. I know how good Hansama can be, but I wanted to see it for myself. And I'm actually really surprised that we saw it this earlier. Now, I found out since then, apparently they're sweaty tryhards and they've been scrimming forever with this team.
They were
in the off season.
I mean, we played them already in December. I think one day. And we also played them in January. And I think we had 4 games against them or 5 games because it was like a very weird day where someone double booked. I think it was maybe Koi's fault. I don't want to like call out.
I think maybe it was specifically Koi's fault.
But I just remember that we double booked and G2 had to like scrim 2 teams that day. And I think they finished like 5 games against us in like 3 hours. We just got like absolutely smashed.
Oh my god.
But I think it was very interesting.
I think the reason a lot of people doubted like the G2 is Hans had a weak year on TL, Mickey had a weird year on XL. Everyone was like, nah, are they really going to be as good as people say they are, like back to their peak? And then you see them play bot lane, you're like, well, they're pretty good,
Yeah, the second that they walked into the minion wave and dropped a Heimer turret down.
Bro, when I saw this, I was like,
Mickey Giga Chad.
Wow, that's how we play the game.
Junglers pathing bot, let me just trade as hard as possible to make sure we can actually threaten some kind of play. Yeah, it was wild.
That I was like, oh my god.
To be honest, I do feel like the Fnatic game was a bit undeserved though, because
they just shouldn't have taken that fight.
I feel like, I feel like they kind of played decent early, like defensively, Fnatic, and I also feel like Caps was like putting a lot of pressure on Humanoid later on to like all in him perma, so Humanoid couldn't roam the map. Like he was perma all in with Akali, which is smart. But why would you give them that fight? But then again, on stage, we played Kassadin against Vitality. And we like had like a very we had one Drake to one Drake. Like we basically could just stall the game and it was fine. But then we chose like, okay guys, let's fight this Drake. We are strong. We just won the previous fight. But the only reason we won previous fight is because enemy Zed is completely
just inted it. And then perks like dash show the wolves.
Like both of them were just like kind of inting like the carries, right? But I also feel like we kind of messed up the draft. But anyway, it's I think that, some teams want to fight, and I think in BO3 is going to be more interesting because you actually take these fights and you don't get as punished long term because worst case, there's another game. So,
I think them taking that 3v3 bot, like the game was just basically done. The second, like 2-0 Draven. Like
that's one of those fights that's like, everyone is so desperately from a public perspective trying to figure out who to blame. They want one person. They're like, who can we scapegoat?
Show me the comms.
Whose fault is it? Who said the thing? But I'm just like, I think all three
sometimes you can tell from like positioning, like when one guy's running and one guy's hitting,
Everybody played bad in that play.
Yeah.
Everybody played.
I mean, I remember like Zeri ing over the wall, Yumi not even being on Zeri, just walking into the fight. Sejuani, like, I mean, I think Razork honestly played it fine, but then by the end he got hooked, right? But then he got hooked because they kind of overstayed, so it's hard to say.
Reckless took an extra step forward after they got the flash into the glacial augment path, then has to back up. There's like so many micro things that you can overanalyze, but ultimately it was just like,
let's just give it to G2. Let's just say good decision making.
Good job, G2. Good job, G2. Wow, really great job, G2.
Micromanaging and everything.
Great micro. Absolute mind control masters.
And then they had the Karma Zac game, which I think, was also really good. Lots of flexibility. So yeah, G2's impressive.
G2's impressive. Vitality, the other team that's currently 3-0. Now, I'll say that I don't know if they're on the same level as G2, but the thing that I will say is, for the first time in the history of Europe, not really, but we have a team that can stop Baron on command
twice
over the weekend. It's unheard of.
They
didn't just coin flip it. They stopped hitting the Baron. How are they doing it? It's not allowed.
I am very impressed. I'm very impressed because, even in my previous teams, this is like so much talked about in scrims, like just don't hit. And you say don't hit on stage and people stress out and they hit. But then I saw Bo queuing to the Baron. I was like, okay, just tank it. Yeah, just tank it.
Wait for top lane respawn.
And no one hit it. I was like, what? His team is not hitting it? Yeah, but that was very smart of him. That was very smart of Vitality. I think honestly, I think that game was very impressive for Vitality against Mad Lions because Mad Lions before that was having so many good games that you would say, okay, Mad will probably win. And then, they took the skirmish early on where Wukong got 2 kills, where it seemed like, okay, this looks like a good game for Mad Lions. But then in the end, Vitality was just... I mean, I also think it was such a big mid gap. It was actually insane.
Yeah, Niski
it was like...
I mean, Niski just made a few mistakes.
But to be honest, when I saw like Bo level 3 ganking mid and running at Niski and Niski flashing into the tower instead of trying to like run the other way, I was like... What?
And then he flashed again and tried to like hit E.
Yeah, not it was multiple times where he did that. So it was. I feel like I don't know if Perks just like really, if Niski really doesn't like Perks, it was
personal.
Like it maybe was personal, but like I felt like he was really making it like easier for Vitality.
Yeah.
But Vitality also played like very well team fights, and they played well around the map. So I think it was the best game they had. I think the game against us was like not that clean, honestly, and I also think the game against Fnatic they should have lost.
Oh, yeah,
and Fnatic just like literally gave it to them. But they are 3-0 and they are looking strong. So to be honest though, if I had to like choose between these two teams, I would say G2 is gonna
I think that's really, all 3 of G2's games looked super, super dominant. And even if we want to talk about the Fnatic one kind of being maybe a little bit of mind control there in terms of just...
I mean, they were still like super stompy, right?
Yeah.
Like because, I mean, let's be honest, I also would say not every team would snowball the game to that degree. Even when you get these 3 kills early, right? I can see a Draven not 1v2ing and just like catching waves even when he's 2-0.
And they slow the game down or something.
Yeah, I saw the game down.
They definitely kept their foot on the gas.
I think that, I'm kind of looking forward to G2 facing Koi, G2 facing Vitality because I think these games will be bangers. And I'm also looking forward to Heretics facing G2 and Koi because I just like to play good teams and I think it's going to be a banger as well.
Yeah. It's just touching Mad quickly there. Apart from that game against Vitality, they were really impressive to me. Like... Cars in Hylissang, I didn't expect it to be a bot lane that would be as good in lane phase as they were on mid waves. Like in the mid game, they were never getting caught. There was like no problems. Hilly wasn't doing Hilly things, in a bad way, like flash polymorphing on Lulu and doing nothing.
I mean, he did that in the game.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. But until game 3,
until game 3, Hylissang didn't look like Hylissang.
No, Hylissang didn't look like Hylissang.
Just look good.
And then Chasey was just proxying his lane, just chilling top. So I mean, they looked pretty good.
Their team fighting is still really good.
But there was Astralis. The thing is, they faced Astralis SK, right? So it's like. Okay, they're doing really well and they're beating these teams quite handily, but when they face Vitality, everything fell apart. So it's kind of still up in the air as to how good they are because I don't want to overread into their wins because of the strength of schedule.
I mean, again, it's 1 week, it's 3 games. You can't make definitive conclusions about anyone except for G2. I'm kidding.
Yeah. What about XL?
Oh, they look terrible.
Oh, God, they look
I'm just going to say it.
I didn't mean it, XL. I didn't mean it.
Even in their win, who was it against? Was it BDS they won against?
BDS.
That was the most disgusting win I've ever seen. It was an absolute... I mean, you saw the players when they got up. They were all just like... It was a funeral. They were just sitting like... we didn't deserve to win.
But like something interesting...
back-to-back elders,
is that I feel like... when I played with Targamas, he was not like the most vocal member of the team. Yeah. And I also heard that Patrick is not like the most vocal member of the team. And I feel like the duo bot lane as a whole, they are like very solid players, very strong players.
Yeah.
But I wonder if like partially, they need more guidance in a way, like jungle to botlane synergy that could make them better. Because I also feel like, I mean, I don't know, I just feel like Odwamna is like the only player that like is proven enough that he communicates well, and I'm not sure about like the other 4. But maybe there's something going on, or maybe it's the game knowledge, or maybe decision making. I mean, there's gonna be many things, you know.
Xerxes was talking a lot watching player cams. That's obviously not the greatest evidence, but he would be the other guy that I would expect to be kind of a big communicator. But his week was also rough. I mean, there were a lot of games where he's picking champions where you're like, you can make an impact. Then he's kind of just very quiet.
Yeah, I mean, the Koi game against Koi, I remember he was playing Vi and like ulting to Narnia and just dying, and no one was following up, and they couldn't really do anything.
But you know, that's like a thing about Vi in Europe. Like Vi in Europe was never successful. Last year, if you tell me someone is picking Vi, the other guy is going to pick Jarvan, and the Jarvan is going to win every
I feel like
time.
Owner played one game of Vi, and it just mind controlled the world into convincing them that this champ's just OP.
I mean, Vi is not bad, I think, right now in the meta is very strong. Like, you know, I think Bo had like a really insane game on Vi.
Oh yeah, I meant last year. Now it looks pretty strong.
Now it looks stronger for sure. But also, I think every champ got nerfed. Like every champ besides Vi got nerfed. So I think she's pretty good now. Yeah. That being said, I also feel like European junglers never really used it to like a very high level. And I think that right now, I think we are seeing like better Vi's, and I think maybe Xerxes didn't have the best game on it, but I also think it's like a lot about the team, right? Because Vi is a champion that it's so easy to run it down with. You press ult, you go in, and you die.
Yep.
It's so easy.
And if you've got a stopwatch, you're lucky.
So I just feel like
you die 2 seconds later instead.
You know, it's
like
a champion
Jarvan.
that you have
Jarvan,
to,
right?
Yeah. I mean, Jarvan can still EQ, like you can flash in ult and EQ out. But with Vi, you cannot EQ out because they can block your Q.
The only way is forward.
So I feel like for, let's say, bad teams, so to say, teams that don't know when to fight, how to pull the trigger, this champ can be very int.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Yeah. I mean, the last thing I'll say about XL is their bot lane's been really struggling. Like they died 2v2 to Kalista Soraka level 3, which can happen, but
it was against Koi though. And Koi is probably the second bot lane that I would say is like
they have
good.
Koi and G2 have the two best bot lanes. I agree. And then I think that game, you know, Odwamna had like a little mechanical misplay on the Nash where he like flashed E to the left instead of the right.
Which sucks for him because he was like the only member of his team that was actually strong compared to their opponent for most of the stages of the game.
But it just feels like nothing's coming together. It just feels like everyone's playing their own game.
I think this team has good coaching staff. I actually like Nelson, and I mean I never work with Youngbuck, but I like Nelson, and I feel like they are players that will be frustrated. They will not be like satisfied with getting struggling.
Yeah.
Oh, I got it. Yes. I was like, 5th? You think they're going to get 5th? I was like, what? 4th? 5th? What? Got it.
No,
Keeping it wholesome. Family friendly.
No, Youngbuck's good. I work with Youngbuck. He's really hardworking. Like, he won't let a problem manifest or sit there. He'll try to fix it straight away.
Well, that's good. I mean, I think that game in general was the Koi XL game. Koi definitely coming out on top, but like, I don't think either team looked back at that game and was like, flawless macro. Great job. That game was just stroking their beard. It was like God, we're so damn good.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that like a lot of the games this week were messy as hell. The Koi XL game was a good example of it. And while Koi ultimately coming out 2-1, I don't think either team walked away from that one happy. Fnatic, the other, not the elephant in the room, but Fnatic, the other team that's just
I was hoping for 0-3, honestly. I mean, it's not because I don't like Fnatic. It's just that we play them next week, so I was hoping Mental Boom before we play them.
Yeah,
so we can get a win.
Well,
Fnatic had the G2 game, which was mostly one really horrible decision.
Yeah,
where they all just ran into death. They just lemmings off to the Draven Cliff together.
And then they also had the game where they played against Vitality, and they actually were about to win that game.
They were winning very clearly.
They lost. And then they had a game where they struggled a lot against Koi in the early game, but then they pulled out in teamfights and won. So I honestly think maybe they look better than standings show.
Really?
No, I think so.
You think so?
I think so. Because I mean, the thing is, against G2 they got stomped, but everyone got stomped against G2.
Yeah.
And then against Vitality, they really like I think they just got overconfident in a way. And you know, you lose a game like that one time, and then you're like, guys, just calm down and just play your game, you know, like get the Nash or base, go get the tower, don't in. Like it's not hard, you know. And then the game 3, they actually inted. I mean, they didn't. Wunder was 0-4, and I'm not saying he inted. He just got camped. But he also
camped into
he also got like a bit. Didn't he get like a bit capped on lane? Maybe. Maybe he didn't.
Against Photon?
I'm not sure.
In the Photon game, the Vitality game, or the Koi game.
What?
Maybe both.
In the Koi game, in the Vitality game, he got solo killed by Photon.
Yeah, he got solo killed by Photon.
In the Koi game, he got dove like 6 times.
Yeah, he got dove 6 times, but he also... I mean, yeah, I think he got dove a lot that game. I mean, he did... I don't know if he got gapped or not. Probably he didn't. I mean, he would probably say he didn't. And he would probably say that, he got camped. But it is true that he got dived a lot against, Sejuani Jax. Yep. It's not like a very fun combo to play against. But then I feel like, to be honest, Fnatic draft that game was like completely unlosable.
Maokai Jace walk in.
Maokai Jace, bro, you river. Just get so poked.
Yeah.
I played, we had this game in scrims where enemy team, no names given, played Heimerdinger, Maokai Jace. And I think they had like Varus or Ashe.
Oh my god.
With back then, of course, all these champs are like pretty good and priority picks, right? Like you wouldn't say that back then, but oh my god, I got like so much pain. It was so much pain when you tried to like fight any dragon, any Nashor, when you try to walk into any brush. Just as soon as you get slowed by Maokai, 50% slow, into JCQ, into like walking into Hammer Towers, bro. Like
Maokai is just a competitively viable Teemo. He's just like the saplings are so good.
Yeah, more OP. Like the saplings is so much better than Teemo mushrooms. Like they run after you.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's actually shrooms running after you.
You can't sweep them. Like
and it has like less cooldown.
Yeah,
and you can place it from range, and it has like more damage.
And he has first strike, so he's milking you all the whole time as well. So he's just taking gold from your head while doing damage, and you're burning.
Please never refer to first strike as milking someone ever again.
It's a good It's a good way of describing what you're doing. Do you remember the days of kleptomancy?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I loved that rune.
Oh my god, I hated
kleptomancy was so fun,
bro. You just queue in and you get like a 100 gold.
Yeah, it was great.
So
you
dumb.
just pick up a red pot and win the lane.
Yeah, how fun was that?
No, it was awful.
Complete RNG. Oh, good times.
But yeah, I think that draft was like very, very good from them. So yeah, I'm curious what to see. But I also felt like they just have like decent mid game. I feel like Humanoid always like kind of knows what to do, even though he dies on silent sometimes. I also feel like his like knowledge about where to move on the map is like pretty good.
Yeah, and the whole like group is 5 team fight thing. They were super solid, good at pulling the trigger. They collapsed on flanks well. Like obviously made easier by having a Sivir on your team, having that ultimate, the move speed. But yeah, I mean that part of the game was impressive. I
just want to say Jhin, I hate that champ. Like I just hate it. I just feel like every time you have AD carry Jhin on your team, it just does nothing. They have Maokai Gragas, and the Jhin is trying to like ult from. I don't know. You look at those team fights from Koi. You had like Jax and Sejuani and Rakan going in, and Jhin was just like in Narnia with his ult, just tickling them. And he's got a good KDA. He looks like he's being useful, but not a player, obviously.
Bro,
I
went through like some Jhin in my past, and I have to say this gem is so dog shit. I think it can be good if there is a draft where first of all you have carry top mid, and then you have like a tank jungle, or you have a carry jungle and tank top, and then enemy team is like very squishy, like very, very squishy, and like it's very easy to like pick people off. But I do agree. I feel like this champ is just negative damage. Like you ult and your fourth bullet does damage. If your team is winning the fight, they will win the fight.
But it was never because of you.
It. Yeah, it's not like, oh, you got the kill because you did 700 damage on a 20% HP target,
It's like your friend in the shooting games who's sitting back there with like Battlefield with the sniper, just like firing a million bullets. He's like, don't worry, guys, this time I'll get the angle right and it'll like drop on the guy. And you're like, you're useless. Please
just come help. Come help. There's like a Cedar in your face, 500 boomerangs critting you. And he's like,
just keep bouncing.
I'll hit him from over here.
You're running like lightning fast at this Jhin. And he's like, don't worry, guys, one more shot. And they're going to be scared this time. Don't worry.
Unbelievable. Also, like the reload takes so long. I don't know. There's so many things.
Yeah. When Jhin feels good, he feels really good. In every other circumstance, he just feels like complete.
He's such a cool champ, though.
Oh, yeah, it's super fun to play. I mean, to be honest, when I play solo queue, AD carry, I might as well look at Jhin. And I know I'm going to be useless, but it's so fun.
Just protest in the game playing Jhin.
It's literally just a mage, guys. The AD carry players haven't figured it out. This is why AD carry, it's just a mage. Just got 4 bullets instead of relevant cooldowns.
I was going to say, who else haven't we talked about? I think it's just SK and BDS.
BDS. Yeah, I mean, the BDS game against Core or against Excel was...
Also, I will say before you go on that point, BDS, sorry to interrupt you, their intros, like they're making content.
Shout out to BDS.
Good content. Like they're walking up in limos, in like these old cars. They've got loads of others prepared. As much as they might not be winning, or maybe they won't be winning, but maybe they will, who knows. At least they're doing content.
Hopefully not, because it's between them and us for EP3, so...
Yeah. Okay. We got it.
Oh yeah, you guys are going to have to fight against them for the...
Yeah, we will fist fight against...
When do you play against them?
So this week is like a pretty rough schedule, right? Koi, G2 and Fnatic, but then we have Excel, Mad Lions and BDS, so this will be like the... I just kicked the cable from the microphone.
I think you're fine.
No, actually, I
it's from the headset.
I don't know which one is it.
technical difficulties.
Let me see.
Hold
We
on.
might have to take a break now.
Mine is plugged into the back.
It's taped to the. It's right here. It's right here. It's under here. It should be.
Wait, I'll go down.
Oh, it's here.
Oh. So which one is it?
The gold one.
The gold one.
I think we leave this part in for the YouTube audio.
Okay.
Does it work now?
Yeah, okay.
Maybe we
I'm
there
back,
it is.
I'm back.
We're back.
My
Technical difficulties
microphone. Okay,
resolved.
everything's fine. So, we are gonna fist fight against Excel the same week as we are gonna fist fight against BDS and against Mad Lions. And I feel like all of these teams currently, I would say, are beatable. I mean, definitely the easier week than G2 Koi, blah blah. So,
Yep.
the goal is this week to win as many games as possible and hopefully secure our place in BO3. If we go 3-0, we probably are making BO3.
Yep.
It's also not gonna be easy. And then next week, like the week 3, will be the true, like the truthful week of whether we are making BO3 or not. And there's no way I'm not making BO3. I mean, there's just no way, bro. Like I'm just making BO3. Like I'm just here sitting and I'm just making BO3. There's just no way I'm not making
This
BO3.
is either going to age poorly
Manifesting
or fantastic.
Either way, it's great content.
Yeah, I'm
Thank you for
manifesting
that.
my destiny.
Here, there it is, right there.
But that's so American.
Manifest it up.
Yeah.
What do you?
But but isn't American to say? Prolly?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
coach that I'm not sure if we have any boomers that were around those
yeah,
programs,
probably,
but
yeah.
he explained it to me the term of manifesting destiny.
Okay.
So he was very American,
I
and
see.
he said it's also very
So you
American.
convince yourself it's possible and it'll happen?
Yeah, kind of, but it's mostly that I brought up as American, right? So I just feel American, but I'm not American. I want anything to do with LCS.
So this is now regardless like American voodoo.
Yeah, but anyway, I'm manifesting destiny. I'm making BO3.
Okay, manifesting.
Can you
Make it
confirm the
happen.
American voodoo of manifestation?
Yeah, I think manifest destiny is not the right term. I think that's got more historical implications, but manifesting in general. Conor
okay.
McGregor believed in it. He would focus really hard and he believed, and he thought him and his wife would do it. I remember that I watched a documentary on it, and they just believed that they were going to be rich, and then they credited that as to their success.
Damn,
Superstition.
I need to believe some things.
Believe hard enough. You believe in best of 3. That's all that
I
matters.
believe in worlds right now, bro.
All right. One step at a time there, buddy. On the subject of BDS, I agree. I like content. I like orgs in general who are really always willing to make content, always trying to take that extra step, even if, no matter what your team's results are, I want you to be celebrating your players and putting your players out there. I think that is sick.
I mean, actually, that's an interesting subject that you just brought up. Not BDS, but I'm saying, they are making content, right? And I wonder if in the future, LEC or LCS would be about, making content. So, for example, not necessarily winning is the top priority, but being popular, making sure fans are happy, being out there with everyone. I'm not sure how to explain it. The kind of influencer style of...
Yeah. I think that time has shown, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but outside of a couple of players that people get really excited for, winning I think has always been the best thing. Because I think G2 has a very good content team. They're probably the best content team that we have.
But they also win.
Alongside Fnatic, but they win it. They also win a lot, and I think that's what built that fan base initially. I think if they had lost all those years and still made good content, no one would care. So maybe in years to come, but ultimately I think winning is the most important thing. Because if you look at the team's YouTube channels, even when they're posting content consistently, if that team isn't winning,
It's dead.
It's dead.
But
but there's also the teams that don't have. I mean, let's say. I mean, it's just an example, right? But let's say there's LCS, and Mr. Beast at World said he wants to buy an LCS team.
Yep.
And then suddenly, will his team be popular even if he's not? If the team is not the best,
I mean, I do
potentially.
I do think that Koi, and I think the big significance of Koi in most people's eyes is Ibai. And I think that is going to make a difference for the fan base.
I feel like Ibai is an outlier though, because he is a giant.
But
even 100 Thieves and Nade Shot, people I think were initially obviously 100 Thieves also had some initial success, but I think people were. A big brand attached to an org is going to be significant, but I don't think it can carry
over the years.
It can't carry over the years. You still have to win stuff.
I feel like a good example maybe is NNO in the Prime League, which was it was Agarin and No Way For You. They were pretty big streamers, but they had to qualify to the Prime League by going to the second division tournament.
Yep.
And the viewers that the second division got were 40 to 60K. Insane amount of people just watching them because they're their favorite streamers, right? So that's one way of being a favorite streamer or influencer and playing in pro, but then being a pro and having that kind of fan base always hypes up the games a lot. Because a lot of people are cheering you on, obviously. Yeah,
because I think that Jankos, you're a guy who makes great content, but the thing is, you've also had the results over the years, so it's really hard to separate the two. Because obviously, people know your screams, they know your personality, they're excited about you both as a pro player and as a streamer when they watch your stream. But You've also won a lot.
Boost my ego more, yes.
Yeah, but you've also won.
Please keep going.
You've also won a lot. You know what? Yeah, you've also won a lot.
Takes out the trash.
You're handsome. You take out the trash. I mean, they've got a lot of other reasons to watch you. You know, so it's hard to say why people are there, why people are sticking around. Anyway, a little bit sidetracked. BDS is a team. I think mixed results. I will say we got a Darius and an Olaf week 1 from Adam.
Classic.
So
Only Darius Olaf, right? He didn't play anything else besides Darius Olaf. 2 games of Darius and 1 game of Olaf, I think
he did play 2 games.
Did he play 2 games of Darius?
I remember it
It
against the Jacks. It was Odo's Jacks he played it against.
Yeah, he definitely played in the last game.
I remember he was playing Olaf against on Renekton.
Yeah, Olaf against Renekton. What was the other game? What was the other game?
What was SK. He was playing. He was playing Aatrox. Yeah.
There it was.
Wait, they lost that game, right?
They lost that game. Oh no, they won that game.
They won that game.
Oh, they won that game.
That was the game with Kate.
Wait, they won against SK?
They won against SK.
We lost against SK.
Yeah. It's getting more complicated.
It's getting more
Manifest. Stop it. Don't stop manifesting.
No, it's okay.
I remember this game. This is where
Mark.
Marcoon level 3 ganked top and Sejuani was there and they both died.
Yep. Oh, that one was messy. So I think generally BDS has some things that I'm excited for. I think it was a bit of a struggle this week for Lebrov, specifically in the first game. He was one of the only other players to get his hands on Heimer, and it looked like, to me at least from an outside perspective, that he took one bad trade against Halo Blade's Ashe and then just never stepped up again. And I think that game was a real struggle, but it did feel like it got progressively better for BDS over the week, and a lot of the individual performances were ironed out. Obviously, the Excel game they were doing really well for a lot of that game.
Crowny almost solo carried the whole game with Lebrov.
Yeah, as much as he could try. And then, they just kept conceding Elder Dragons, and it was like, well, all right, guys, I'm sorry.
To be honest, though, enemy team had Maokai, didn't they?
Yeah,
they had a TF against Akali, and they had superior side lane, and it was not. I mean, honestly, them it didn't look that bad, They really tried to contest everything, but at some point they would just get chanked out, and I think the way they contested was bad, but it's also really not easy for them to play against enemy comp. So I think they didn't play that bad. I mean, also enemy won the game, but Excel didn't play the cleanest game as well. I think Excel should have probably won it harder. So, at the same time, though, I think BDS showed some hope.
Yeah. So what I'm learning is if you get Maokai on first pick or something, you can go Jace on 2-3 and flex it. You just have a Varus in there somewhere or something cooking up in there with just a little bit more poke. You can't walk into river. It's just owned.
Yeah.
It's territory.
I mean, you just need to play something that goes really hard. You have to just engage.
Yeah. Jarvan, Galio, Camille, just Morgana Black Shield on the Camille go in.
Maokai saplings have to be the most annoying thing to exist in pro play. For pros. As a spectator, I don't mind.
I'm not sure if it's the saplings or if it's Hammer Towers, because both champs are complete annoying.
You need a champ like Nico where you can W every bush and just make your clone tank
I actually
everything.
like the Nico. Yeah, throwing the clone in.
Just as a counter?
Well, I don't know, just someone just Nico support, into the Maokai, just to soak up all the saplings on every...
some people said Daisy. So Ivern. You play Ivern and Daisy can actually tank with the shield.
That's a good idea as well.
But the problem is that the champ is kind of useless. And Nico is kind of useless as well.
So. We need a champ that's useful that can take
we
the
need to make a good game or a good champion that has a clone. Zyra?
I think currently it's
Zyra plants to eat the saplings?
Sejuani with Warmog armor is the current...
Warmog sounds good.
Yeah, that's just so frustrating to play against. And I think I'm curious to see how BDS improve over the weeks to come. See how that kind of gets ironed out. SK are the other team. This is the trifecta right now. Right now, sadly for Astralis, they're not in the trifecta. Well, but for now, it's you guys, BDS and SK, fighting to make it into top 8.
And then we'll see which team will make the BO3.
Which team will make the BO3?
It's kind of exciting in a way because, it's such a short lifespan. Normally, you get to play at least 8 weeks until you are out of playoffs. And then it's top, I think, was top 8 or top 6 in playoffs?
Top 6.
Yeah. It used to be top 6.
It used to be, now it was
top 8.
No, but now it's top 8 this year or last year? How was it last year?
Top 6.
Top 6. Yeah, okay. So technically, it would be harder to get to playoffs, but also the whole 8 weeks, Now it's 3 weeks, bro. Either you make it or you don't.
And you're on vacation for 5 weeks.
Yeah,
but I guess the other side is
it's not real vacation though, because I assume most of the teams will scream,
just keep practicing.
Yeah, because there's the winter split. There's no break between winter and spring. There's literally one week. Yeah. Off.
But I guess the good side is after 3 weeks, you're bad if you don't make it. Instead of 8 weeks long, by week 5, 6, you've got 3 wins. You're huffing everything, saying we can still do it, guys. The mood is kind of bad. You're oh, surely we can turn it around, right? And then we have to kind of instill fake faith and be yeah, we believe in some kind of run. When it's well, I think they're kind of out at this point. But
it's one of those
anything can happen.
Yeah,
the Schalke Mallorca run, can happen.
Stop. we don't have to do it anymore. We changed format. I never have to say that again. Which is great.
By the end of this weekend, we're already 2/3 through the regular season.
It's incredible.
There's 1 week left.
But when you think about it, for pro players, it's so short time you have to improve on. like before the season, because now it's literally 3 days of scrims every week, right? So it's when the season starts, you have 6 days of scrims left. Yeah. Because right now after the weekend, today is Wednesday, we have 3 days left: Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Boom, three game days. Then again Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
It's
3
intense.
game days. It's
Do you
very
feel
intense.
like it's easy burnout schedule?
I think it's easy burnout schedule also because we play 6 games, but we play. I mean, I would personally, I don't like the new schedule. I would like to play 6 games, but I would like to play them in a shorter like lifespan, instead of taking the 1 hour break, which to me is like very pointless. This is like very similar to Worlds meta, where you have a 3 games break into 3 games, but at Worlds you have 2 hour break, and the break happens between 5 to 7, and you have time for like dinner or you have time for something, right?
I see.
And then you kind of at Worlds there is like nothing besides your hotel and league, so you kind of just like perma play anyway.
So like
it makes so
block.
much sense. Yeah, you have a night block, but you play between 7 to 10. It would be the normal scale. Like from, you start at, I think, 2 or 1, and then, you play 3 games. Then you have break between 5 to 7. Then you play 3 games again, and then maybe some teams still do night block. But right now we start at 1. We have a break between 4 to 5, and then we play another 3 games until 8.
You don't think the 1 hour break is enough?
No, I just feel like it's not enough to really do anything like meaningful.
Yeah.
But it only kills your time. So I would just do no break and play 6 games if teams really want to play, extra game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just like my own thoughts, right? So I think it's quite intense. I think it's very exciting, but at the same time, again, there's not much time to improve on. That's why I think we should scrim, on LEC days, even it's LEC, even like 2-3 games, just to like warm up comms, just to warm up yourself, and we'll see. In 2 weeks, it's not a very long time, and we'll see if we are making BO3s or if I'm, flying back home or something.
Yeah, we can talk more about some of the teams we maybe glossed over a bit this week, next week. Let's talk a little bit about the important games this week. Easy one coming up this Monday, banger day for games, Monday Night League. G2 versus Vitality. Is everybody just in the G2 camp?
I'm definitely on the G2 camp.
Yeah, I think so.
Or Luca.
I mean, I think Bo has had some good form. I mean, Bo's shown flexibility, right?
Yep.
Graves one day, Sejuani another day. I think Perks had like an insane game against Mad. Their bot lane has been good, above like average. I don't think they're like exceeding expectations. They were losing 2v2 in that lane. I think their way of stopping Lucian and Nami was weird, because if you look at the LCK and the LPL, I think their way of doing it is much easier, where if Lucian and Nami are open, they first pick Nami, and if you take away Lucian, then they'll play Draven into it, right?
Yep.
And then but they denied the Nami and played Ezreal into it and gave them Lulu. So it's kind of like,
that was a little weird.
Apparently it's fine for lane, but Neon said in out of lane, Lucian Lulu is just really useless, so it's fine. It's just about taking it away. So their plan there was a little bit interesting. But Photon has also been pretty good, I think. Photon's been doing his job well. He's been solo killing a lot of top laners.
Yeah, I think he's playing very well. I mean, he's also likes to all in a lot. So I think if more junglers go top, I mean, they said they have this joke in, I'm not sure if it's Vitality, but I mean, even on Twitter it happened to me, right? And Photon talked to me after the game as well. It's like, don't come top. If come top, it's like boom, so basically, I don't know if like more teams will come top to gank Photon. Maybe it's something that could stop potentially the Vitality, because I do see him all-inning a lot on Jax. But I think mechanically he's very, very good. I had him in my Champions Q game yesterday. He was smurfing on Nars. So I think, he's a top laner that I think will grow into like a very, very big powerhouse in Europe. Yeah. It's also because European top laners historically haven't been like the strongest. So I definitely think he will be one of the best ones.
I think the biggest thing is not necessarily like individual skill discrepancy too for the G2 Vitality matchup, although that could definitely happen. But
I mean, I think
their
that
mid game is clean as hell. They're really good at transitioning pressure and transitioning advantages. Like even in their final game of the week, where bot lane wasn't pulling ahead, they just immediately started going topside, and like they adjusted really well on the fly, which I liked.
I was just gonna say something we talked about on the desk on the weekend was like people like Chasey and Photon upgrade the top lane pool in Europe. Bo and Malrang change like the way EU junglers play the game in a way where it's like, Malrang comes in with his psycho style.
Big upgrade.
Huh? Huge. Bro, Malrang was like perma. I mean, I think he got better honestly in summer than he was in spring, because in spring he was like perma ganking, and he would fall behind a lot. Yeah. And right now he's still perma ganking,
but he's not falling.
But he's not falling behind as much because he's more aware of like his timings. And before he was just doing it a bit more like mindlessly, so to speak.
Loosely, yeah.
Yeah, but I think, I mean, he's of course, a good player.
Yeah, I just overall feel like people like those players coming in with these styles just help Europe a little bit. Makes the junglers think twice about how the game's played, and maybe they adapt a little bit of the style.
Definitely, I think it helps. Yeah, I mean, having like a great teams, great players helps a lot, right? So if G2 is very good, you can bet a bank on it that, like, you know, by summer split, by spring split, teams are gonna, like, we have to, you know, adapt. We have to be better than them. Mm-hmm. How do we get better than them? We have to work harder. We have to do what they do, or we have to do it better, or we have to counter what they do. So there's many ways you can think about it, but in the end, it helps us to go stronger. Yeah,
I think that has been the case. I feel like EU has always been its strongest in the last years when we've had one very clear top team. That was when you guys were the best team in 2019 on that G2 lineup. I think that, like, it brought everyone up around you as well.
I mean, 2020 we were still the best, but it was way closer because of 2019, where people, you know, developed a lot. And I think this year could be the year where Europe again becomes relevant, like, on international stage to actually. I mean, Koi did make it out of groups last year, but there was, like, I mean, to me at least, there was, like, not a lot of hope that they would, you know, be very good.
I think that the difference will be not about winning best of fives against the LCK or LPL, but about, like, the bar is competitive. You know what I mean? Like, that's where it's like,
I mean, I think it's possible. Like, maybe they will. I mean, I don't know how good they will be by MSI, for example, and I don't know how good, like, LCK LPL will be. But I mean, right now, I think they should be competitive, right? Will they win a BO5 against Asian teams? I don't know that, but
I think that's, like, the first hurdle. Like, getting out of groups is great, but then if you're not competitive in the best of five, it's like, okay, that's, like, average EU level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's what has been over the years. And we got, like, spoiled some years where, like, Fnatic was doing well, G2 was doing well. But for, I think, the past 2 years, we didn't really have a team that...
No, we didn't.
2020, 2021, I think.
Yeah. Maybe this year, though.
Now we got 2 teams in MSI. Maybe those 2 can pop off.
Yeah. Only other things I'm going to call out, obviously, the Heretic schedule. We've talked about it already. This is the gauntlet. Will they win a game? Can Jankos and the boys rally? Saturday, Koi. Sunday, G2, Monday, Fnatic. It's going to be big bangers.
Did we talk about Koi? I know we're going towards, like,
we talked a little bit about Koi. We can talk more about it next week. Okay. I think we got a lot of teams to talk about. We branched across a lot of topics on this particular episode, and I want to make sure that we get Mr. Marcin out the door.
So I mean, I can talk about Koi if you want me to, but I don't have to. It's up to you guys. I have some thoughts.
You know what? This is the most disorderly podcast of all time.
I just completely like.
You know, we talk, like, I feel like in the middle of the podcast we're talking about, like, trash and chores.
Yeah.
But now there are, like, some league as well in there.
Yeah. This podcast has been all over the place.
That's the thing is like,
I feel like it's always like this when I'm, like, participating in
you're
things.
You're very quick to jump topics, and I'm not gonna drag you down. I want you to fly free.
I'm sorry for that.
No, you're
fine. But I think it's
Marcin, I love having
it's interesting.
No, you're great.
Sometimes
you take a topic and you just rant about it.
You jump around. Yeah. He's the same way, to be fair. You just accept. Sometimes you have to, like, try to rein you guys in, and sometimes I just let you go. And today we're just letting you go. So yeah, we've talked about the games coming up this week, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, as one final bonus topic for the game. Let's talk about Koi, who I think we might have already talked about, but whatever. Let's talk about Koi.
Yeah, I just want to mention, I think Jankos said it, they have probably one of the best bot lanes in the league, but the team just looks different. Like, something just feels off about the team in mid to late game. Maybe it's not a super Larsen meta, but I think Victor and Azir and, like, some mages are still meta.
Yeah.
Better than last year, I guess, with Akali and Sylas and things like this.
But I mean, I think big change is that, of course, they lost Odwamne, which I think was vocal in their team. But also, they lost Chris, which is my current coach, and I actually think he's very, very smart about the game. And I feel like the way he talks about laning phase to players and the way he talks about mid-late game, I think he was actually a big influence why Koi was good macro.
Yep.
But on top of that, I think Shigenda is a bit lost on the map. So not only Shigenda is lost on the map compared to Odwamne, even though his, like, mechanics and laning phase is good.
I agree,
Like, his like, macro knowledge is not the best. Then they lost a coach that was, I think, big part of why they understood macro.
Yeah.
And then they also had, like, a long break. I think they are, like, one of the few teams that, like, did not scrim at all during winter break.
Larsen said in an interview, a very blunt way, he was like, yeah, we're not off-season nerds, so we didn't scrim.
Yeah, so I think they will be good, I think I wouldn't be too worried about Koi. They already proved last year that the team of them being boosted in playoffs is gone. Because, we always say, like, Raw, Koi, they will go to play, they will, like, good in BO1, then BO5, they struggle. But they actually went top 2, top 1, spring, summer. So I think that, they will become good, I think.
Yeah, Shigenda needs more time, I guess.
Yeah,
it's also weird. They have to, if they lost a coach who's really helpful with their mid-late game, they lost a top laner who's veteran, and certainly, if there's one thing you say about Odo, he generally, like, he knows how to play the map. That is something he's good at. He knows how to control his wave, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that's, we'll see how Shigenda grows into his current role. But,
bonus topic done.
Bonus topic done. Coming up this week, one last time, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 3 days of League of Legends action. Honestly,
every week,
it's going to be wild. It was wild this week. Hopefully we'll have all the issues that caused pauses this week removed. If
wow,
not,
that would be great.
you might get an extra 3 episodes of the Euphoria podcast on Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
But if there is pauses,
Yeah, if you're a
we
really
should get him a mic and get him on the cash to desk and we
I
just
think we'll
pause
just
for
pull
30
you
minutes.
over. Yeah, we'll just, All right, what is your team talking about right now? How are the pick bands going? Oh, great.
Actually, we were talking about the chores and...
Let's just say I get first pick until further notice because no one else has taken out the trash.
Maokai, baby.
Maokai, baby. All right, this has been Euphoria Season 11, Episode 3. Thanks again to... Is it Episode 3 or is it Episode 4?
It's episode 3.
Isn't that episode 2?
Bro, no, we had to... I don't know.
It's episode 3.
Let's start. Episode 3. Thank you so much for being here, Jankos. Good luck on the
Thank you, guys.
growth of the trajectory.
I appreciate you inviting me. I heard it was also like partial Twitch chat inviting me, actually.
Twitch chat?
Because I heard you ask on stream who to invite, and then the chat said
a lot of people said
You
Jankos.
asked on stream?
Yeah, you see?
I came to you in the middle of the day and I was like, hey, bro, who do you want to prioritize? And you went to Twitch chat?
Well, it was you messaged me while I was
They
streaming.
make your memes. They decide are Euphoria
Well, you
guests?
messaged me while I was
Goddamn
streaming, so
Pedro,
I was like, guys, who would be good on Euphoria? And everyone said Jankos, and I was like,
Yeah.
Jankos.
All right.
And I was like, you guys care about me. You guys invite me because, I'm cool.
yeah.
I changed
I
teams.
do.
I was
It
like,
was a good call.
That was also
I was
true.
like,
I
it makes
changed
sense.
teams. They probably want to talk to me. I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's great.
And then I go on stream. I'm like, hey, I can fight the Euphoria. And then they're like, oh, yeah, we know. Because Caedrel asked
No,
on
it's
stream.
also because we really appreciate you as a
I was
guy.
like,
I didn't know
so
this.
they don't care about me. And I already accepted the invite. That was yesterday. And I was like,
Well,
It's what we want.
accepted
It's
it.
what we want. It's what the people want. Everyone's happy.
Yeah. So anyway, come watch this weekend at 6 p.m. Until further notice. Who knows what could happen in the future. LEC, still in the midst of best of one. One more week of games. 2 more weeks of best of one, rather, and then we're into best of 3. It's going to be banger. Jankos is manifesting that he will make it to the best of 3s. We'll see what happens. And of course, if you want to watch either of
Welcome
these
to my
gentlemen...
world. Manifesting top 8. That's my...
Oh! No,
Struggling
that's top
to-
6. No, you were
Yeah,
trying to make
manifesting
top
top
6.
6. It's even worse.
It's called the Caedrel format, actually. Check out both these guys on Twitch, by the way, if you want to help decide future Euphoria guests or...
Yeah. If you really want to see someone on
Or
Fortnite,
watch-
go to Caedrel's stream.
Go watch Caedrel's stream, or if you want to watch some high-level champions
Yeah.
queue with Jankos and a bunch of ERL players that he has to wrangle like cats as they run across the map in an undisciplined fashion. Both of their Twitch channels, fantastic. It's great content. Check it out. Otherwise, we will see you guys this weekend for the show and back here next week for more Euphoria. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.